through all of the details that we went through in the first press conference, but I will say this. Since that time, we are still working on the building here at the Inland Regional Center. As officers were searching the building, we had mentioned in the first press conference that there were some suspicious devices. One of those devices is believed to potentially be an explosive device, so they're taking a very cautious, very slow approach to processing that building and rendering that safe. So I would imagine we're going to be here for several hours as the bomb squad continues to work that part. On the investigative side, we had followed up on some tips. That took us to a residence in the city of Redlands. When officers were setting up on that residence to watch it, there was a vehicle that was seen leaving that was suspected of possibly being involved. There ended up being a pursuit of that vehicle, and eventually that pursuit came back to San Bernardino Avenue between Mountain View and Richardson here in the city of San Bernardino, where the suspect vehicle stopped and there was an officer-involved shooting. We had multiple officers that were involved in the shooting. We have two suspects that are dead at the scene. One is a male, one is a female. We had one police officer that was wounded. He has injuries that are not considered to be life-threatening, and he is at a local hospital and is expected to be okay. Of the suspects that are dead at the scene, one is a male, one is a female. They were dressed in kind of assault-style clothing. I think that is probably the best way to term it. They are both armed with assault rifles. They are both armed with handguns. And there's also kind of some sensitive stuff around the vehicle that they're just not real sure. They're taking a very cautious approach to dealing with the vehicle in case there's more explosives there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Bowditch with the FBI to talk about some parts of the investigation.
Thank you, Chief. So first off, my name is David Bowditch, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI here in the Los Angeles Field Office. B-O-W-D-I-C-H. First off, we want to extend our true sadness to the families of the victims. There are many, many victims who were involved here. Some are obviously deceased. Others are wounded and being treated as we speak. This is truly a tragedy in our country, and we will continue to apply all the resources necessary to assure that both us, the Sheriff's Department, the San Bernardino Police Department, as well as the ATF, work this thing together to assure that we have chased down every lead to solve this case. Secondly, we are bringing in FBI resources. We have agents on a house in Redlands, California right now. That house, as we know, we do not know the contents of what's in that house, but previous active shooter incidents have shown us that there are times when devices are left behind. We do not have any indications there are devices to my knowledge, but we certainly are going to proceed very cautiously into that house to preserve life and limb of our employees. We're bringing evidence response teams in to work hand in hand with our state and local partners on the officer-involved shooting scenes, as well as the scene here where we have multiple victims, as well as the house. We will continue to go down this road. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I know one of the big questions that will come up repeatedly is this terrorism? And I am still not willing to say that we know that for sure. We are definitely making some movements that it is a possibility. We are making some adjustments to our investigation. It is a possibility, but we don't know that yet. And we're not willing to go down that road yet.
David, the relationship between the two dead suspects?
Unknown at this point.
How old approximately are they?
I do not even know that. This is a
third suspect? There was talk of a third suspect.
There is a third suspect, and I don't know the disposition of that suspect. I would defer to that question to the chief. What I will tell you on any indications of terrorism or this investigation, and I've told a few of you already, we will go where the evidence takes us. It's possible it goes down that road. It's also possible it does not. We're just not sure yet, and when we are fairly sure, we will let you know.
David, do you have a motive for this?
Possibly terrorism.
There are a number of potential, there's a few potential things, but we just don't know, and I'm not willing to go down that road. This is a very fluid, active investigation. We are still gathering facts. All the heads of agencies that we have here, we are still gathering some of these facts ourselves because this scene is strewn throughout the city and into another city, and it's incredibly fluid, and that's just the way these things. We'll get there when we get there.
Do you have any information on the identity of the third suspect, description, name, anything?
So I should have included that in my in when I talked a moment ago. So as I said, we had an officer-involved shooting on San Bernardino Avenue between Mountain View and Richardson. There were 2 people in the vehicle. Both of those people are deceased. There was a third person that was seen running away. We do not know if they were involved. We have that person detained. I don't have any information on who that person is yet, and we certainly do not know if they were involved. It's possible that they were not. In addition to that, and the reason we put things out on social media that we asked for people to shelter in place in those neighborhoods is because there were some folks that called in and had reported that they heard somebody jumping fences, and they reported some of that activity in the neighborhood. We don't know if that was possibly responding officers, but we took a cautious approach. We locked down the neighborhood. We asked people to shelter in place, and we searched that neighborhood extensively. As of a couple minutes ago, we just got word that that search has been wrapped up. No additional folks have been contacted or seen there, so we feel that that area is safe and we can lift that shelter-in-place order there.
Do you have information yet, and why this location?
We do not have a motive.
Approximate age of the suspect.
We do not. I do not have that right now. I do not. Keep in mind that I said that there were some things that were causing the officers to take a very, very cautious approach in approaching those suspects, and so we just are not that far into the investigation yet.
The nationality of the suspect.
Is that possible?
I'm sorry.
Possibility these suspects might have been suicide vests or something similar?
I don't know. I have not heard suicide vest. No.
Do you believe that this whole situation is all clear, that people are safe, or there's still more shooters potentially out there?
We feel confident about the neighborhood where the officer-involved shooting took place. That we have secured that, and there's nobody outstanding there. We're reasonably confident on that. On the broader scale of the investigation, as I said early on, we had information that there were potentially 3 shooters. We are still at a point where we are tracking down that information. We are going to try to continue to identify if there was a third person involved, or potentially even more people that might have been involved in the planning. But we're still pretty early on that part of the investigation.
There's been a number of reports about a holiday party.
I can't listen to all of them.
Chief, there's a report out that at the holiday party, somebody left angrily, went out, came back with 2 other people, guns, and started firing. Any truth to that?
So I have heard that they were in a meeting or a holiday party type event at the Inland Regional Center. Somebody did leave, but we have no idea if that is the person that came back.
Oh, so that's a possibility.
Somebody did leave. There was some type of dispute or something when somebody left that party, but we have no idea if those are the people that came back.
Do you have any idea what kind of weapons were recovered at the point of the shootout? You said long guns initially.
They were assault style weapons.
Chief, are there,
Yeah, that type of weapon. Yes.
are there explosives, sir, near that black SUV currently?
There was a report that they potentially threw what was identified as a pipe bomb. I think we've rendered that device safe. It was not an explosive. I think we're still working on the vehicle and making sure that that is safe.
Can you give us anything on description of these suspects, their appearance or ethnicity, anything, age?
Just the way that it was described to me is, and I said this in the first press conference, they came dressed and equipped, and I think the people that we have at the scene that are deceased are dressed in that way. They're dressed in dark kind of tactical gear, I think is the best way I'll put it.
Ethnicity, anything like that? Do you have
I
any
don't know.
on that?
I don't know.
Since you served the search warrant, is it your understanding that they...
I didn't say we served a search warrant.
Okay. We understand you served the search warrant, so we're being told. So is it your understanding that they were holed up in the general area then the whole time? They never left?
No, there was information on the early part of the investigation as we started to develop information. There was one particular focus area that we went. There were a couple, but there was one particular focus area that we went to, and it was one of those follow-ups focus areas that led us to the house in Redlands, that led to the ultimate pursuit, that led to the officer-involved shooting.
Was that their house?
The address was connected to the follow-up that we had. I don't know who the suspects are, nor do I know if that is where they live.
Chief, were they related to the police killed the 2 people at the end?
They were carrying assault-style weapons. I don't know the specific caliber or make or model of the gun.
Chief, the arrest at
Hang on, real quick. There were 2 people in the SUV, both of them are deceased. One- One male, one female, while they were engaged in the gun battle with police officers, and we had several officers that shot at them and into the vehicle. I don't know what bullets caused their death. We have a 3rd person that was seen leaving the area. He is detained. We do not know the extent of his involvement, if any. It's possible that he was not.
Arrested at Aurora and Colson.
The person was detained very close to where the officer involved shooting. We don't have an Aurora. I don't know.
There was an arrest on Colson Street.
There was somebody detained.
Maybe identified.
We have not identified them yet.
Chief, did that person have weapons on him? That 3rd suspect was detained.
I
Any
don't-
weapons located on that person?
I don't have that information.
Was there any words exchanged during this gunfire that you can discuss between the suspect and the police?
I don't know.
What fairness finality?
Don't know. Okay, we're going to try to do another press conference sometime around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll have more information for you at that time. Thank you.